1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, we're going to start this in just a second here, guys. Just a second here. Episode number 276, Rob Carson Show podcast. Take one. Actually, there was only one take. Because we do it live. Ladies and gentlemen, we do it live. And here we are. And we are on. And we are one. And we're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to talk about the issues. And you know how I roll, guys. Anyway, welcome. Let's get this thing started, shall we? There it is. That is the Rob Carson Show intro, and welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me tonight. A treat and an honor for me to be here and you to join me. Thank you. I had an interesting day today, and I'm going to tell you about some of the things that happened today, if you don't mind, in just a couple of seconds here. But I do actually need to play this too, by the way.
It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked?
Boom!
Now, here's Rob Carson.
All right, so today I was in training for a job that I'm going to be doing as well as the podcast. And like I said, I'm going to share that with you in just a couple of seconds here. It's my first time in the working as a civilian outside of broadcasting in a very long time. Hello, Greg. How you doing there, brother? Good to have you join me tonight. Anyway, welcome to episode number 276, Rob Carson Show podcast. I'm taking a job in the private sector outside of broadcasting because broadcasting, and I may return to it, but it's one of the few fields that you get fired for making more. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm moving to a business that the more you make, the more they want to keep you, which is pretty wild compared to broadcasting, which is, we can't make budget, you're done. You know? So I'm going to be selling cars at this dealership, Hendrick Toyota in Merriam, Kansas, which is in the Kansas City area, Johnson County. I'm going to be doing that during the day, and then I'm going to be podcasting, live video podcasting and audio podcasting during the rest of the week. So that's what's going to happen. And I'm doing it for my family. Because radio's a bitch. Radio is a bitch. And I think it's a bummer. You know, whatever. If something comes up, you know, who knows? Who knows what'll happen? Anyway, that's going on. My son, by the way, graduated high school this weekend. That was an epic moment. And kids grow up really fast, all right? I know, yes, it's a cliche, but dear God in heaven, 18 years have passed since my son was born, and he's going to Kansas University of Kansas in the fall. It's unbelievable, guys. I've shared my life stages on the radio and have shared them on the radio and share them with you. I'm really proud of them. Graduated with a 3.75 GPA. You ready for this? Voted most likely to be a stand-up comedian. All right. Let's talk a little bit about this whole FBI scandal, and it's getting ugly, guys. It is getting ugly, and it's going right to the top. The FBI, working with Barack Obama, working with the DOJ, planted spies in the Donald Trump campaign. Remember when Donald Trump said that he had been surveilled or he had been wiretapped during the campaign and everybody laughed at him? It was very true, and it was worse than we can ever imagine. It was worse than we can ever imagine. Listen to this. FBI spy Stephen Halper, Cambridge professor, longtime aide to some of Washington's most powerful figures, was outed as an FBI informant planted inside the Trump campaign. This is unreal. He made his first overture when he met with Carter Page at a British symposium. The two remained in regular contact for more than a year, meeting at Halper's Virginia farm and in Washington, D.C., as well as exchanging emails. This guy apparently made between $400,000 and $1 million in 2 years. Sounds like it was taxpayer dollars. He got in touch with this guy, Papadopoulos, you've heard about, 24-year-old. Offered the young, inexperienced campaign aide $3,000, all expense paid trip to London, ostensibly to write about a paper about energy in the Eastern Mediterranean region. Apparently met up with Stephen Halper and the Australian ambassador, where Mr. Papadopoulos was fed some information, apparently by Stephen Halper, saying that the Russians had Hillary Clinton emails, got this 24-year-old kid drunk, got him bragging about emails hacked by the Russians in the Hillary Clinton campaign. And this, by the way, this ambassador donated $25 million to the Clinton Foundation. He went to the DOJ and reported this. This was a plant. This was a setup. It was a shakedown. It was a put on. And this is the beginning of it, guys. This was the beginning of it. Then this guy, by the way, Halper, I don't know why there weren't any red flags about this guy, why people weren't watching this guy. 4 decades ago, he was responsible for a long-forgotten spying scandal involving the 1980 election, in which the Reagan campaign, using CIA officials, managed by Halper, reportedly under the direction of former CIA director and then vice presidential candidate George W. Bush, who ran the CIA, got caught running a spying operation from inside the Carter administration. That was a scandal, according to the media. This is not a scandal. This is the biggest scandal in American political history. This is the biggest scandal in American political history, where Barack Obama, I will say it, Barack Obama started this. Barack Obama started this. He weaponized the FBI. He weaponized the DOJ. Jim Comey's going to go to jail. That SOB is going to go to jail. He exonerated Hillary Clinton with regard to the 33,000 emails that were on her private server that she just lost. She bit the servers. She destroyed all of the mobile units involved, all of the Blackberries, etc., and exonerated Hillary Clinton before he even talked to her. And then, as an added distraction, decided to go after the Donald Trump campaign by inserting moles into the campaign. And it sounds like this was a taxpayer expense. Why? Why? The real evidence of collusion was on the Hillary Clinton side of the campaign. The Hillary Clinton side. By the way, the Mueller team is saying they're going to conclude the investigation by September the 1st. Apparently, he shared his timeline with Trump a couple weeks ago. Rudy Giuliani said Trump's legal team is still discussing the possibility of Trump meeting with Mueller's team with a tentative date in mid-July. I just think this thing is collapsing on itself. It's very clear, and we said this when Barack Obama was president. I mean, he weaponized the IRS to go after Republican 501c3 so they couldn't get tax-exempt status before the 2010 election. Republican groups, I mean, telling them they had to give up their donor list, who gave money to them, among other things. Unbelievable. And you knew this was going to happen. We were all saying this. You knew this was going to happen when Barack Obama was the president. Have you noticed how quiet Barack Obama has been and Hillary Clinton have been with regard to this? I got to tell you, I'm just blown away. Tanita, hello. How are you? Welcome to the show. Hello, Alan. Good to have you joining me tonight. Please share if you would, please, because we've got a lot of stuff to get to on the show. Got a lot of stuff. Donald Trump went on a tweet storm over the weekend. Things are really getting ridiculous. highlighting the New York Times story about the investigation led by Robert Mueller. At what point does this soon-to-be $20 million witch hunt composed of 13 angry and heavily conflicted Democrats and 2 people who have worked for Obama for 8 years stop? This is great. They found no collusion in Russia, no obstruction. And there is none, and there is none, and there is none. They aren't looking into the corruption of the Hillary Clinton campaign where she deleted 33,000 emails, got $145 million. While Secretary of State from Russian-owned companies paid McCabe's wife $700,000, and by the way, she was running for office in Virginia and lost. Got off the FBI hook with Terry M., that's McAuliffe, and so much more. Pointed to FISA abuse by the FBI, and by the way, 4 times the FBI went to the FISA court, because you go 60 days at a time. You can go get a 60-day warrant to surveil people for 60 days, and then you've got to resubmit it. Now, here's the thing. The main piece of evidence used by the DNC, Hillary Clinton, the FBI, and they were all in cahoots, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, in cahoots, was the dossier, the Steele dossier, which Jim Comey originally said was incredible. Not incredible, I should say uncredible. Yet they didn't tell the FISA court that it was bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton. It was bought and paid for by the DNC. It was bought and paid for Barack Obama's Organizing America. All of those things are true. I mean, do we need any more clear evidence that the FBI was working on the side of Hillary Clinton's campaign and the DNC and Barack Obama's Organizing for America to take down a candidate, to take down a presidential candidate, number one, to disrupt or destroy a transition team, and ultimately to destroy a president? The excrement is hitting the fan, folks. The excrement is hitting the fan. Alan says, hello, Rob. Still haven't smoked any of the cigars. Alan won a humidor for listening to this show. He also got some cigars, the humidor. He's got, just some cigars. Buddy, if I could be there, I'd smoke one with you right now. I tell you what. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. The abuse of power, the woeful dereliction of duty by the FBI and the DOJ with regard to Hillary Clinton's private server. It could be no clear. You couldn't find a way to make it clearer that the Democrat Party and Barack Obama were going to do anything they could to get Hillary Clinton into office, and she still didn't win. Think about all that. Think about all of the things that were going on. You've got a sycophantic media that supports Hillary Clinton, and 91% of the stories on the media are negative about Donald Trump. You've got this narrative being drummed that Donald Trump was colluding with the Russians, and none of it was true. And now we're learning some just incredible things. Just honestly incredible things. Devin Nunes not ruling out the possibility of multiple FBI informants in the Donald Trump campaign. Here he is talking about that, and how, by the way, if taxpayer money was used, taxpayer money or otherwise, if an FBI informant was implanted in a political campaign, that's crossing a line. But he says if you include the taxpayers paying for it, it's even worse.
Conducted by the Department of Justice. What were you referring to?
Well, there were 2 mainstream media outlets on Friday night that had lots and lots and lots of details. If any of those details are correct. So remember, we don't have any documents. We can't confirm whether there's an informant or not an informant because we've never been told nor given documents. And in fact,
we know there's one informant. We know that there's one informant, Stephen Halper. We know that.
Never even asked for the name of any informants or any sources whatsoever. So if any of that is true, if they ran a spy ring or an informant ring and they were paying people within the Trump campaign, if any of that is true, that is an absolute red line. There is not an honest person in this country who can believe that taxpayer dollars going to fund this ring and
why? Listen, there was no evidence to go after the Trump campaign. There was nothing there. There was a dossier, right? So they had no probable cause to go after the Trump campaign. They were charged with doing it. Barack Obama charged the FBI with doing it. And it wasn't about Russian collusion. It was about finding anything. Paul Manafort. A financial issue in 2005. What the hell does that have to do with Russian collusion during the election? Not a damn thing. It was used as a giant, massive fishing expedition to take down anybody and tie it to Donald Trump's administration, Donald Trump's campaign.
Operate like this, like what's said in the New York Times, I think it would have quite a bit of detail on it. If any of that is true, this is a red line in this country. You can't do this to political campaigns.
But they did it. They freaking did it. And you know what's really amazing? That campaign, despite it all, kicked Hillary Clinton's ass.
I mean, this was done. I mean, according to them, this was done in the spring. Before the counter.
100 days before the election was originally what I'd heard, but he's saying the spring, which would have been further than that.
Intelligence investigation was even open. If that's true, we need to know about it.
So, well, the New York Times reports and the Washington
At least the New York Times is reporting
Post that somebody was paid. Somebody was paid, and they were interacting with the Trump campaign. You want to call it spying? Fine. But somebody was paid. Isn't that right? That's what the New York Times says.
If they paid someone, it's an absolute red line, and this is over with. I mean, I don't know how to say this. I mean, there is no possible way that we should be allowing, even if it was legal, we should never allow this in this country. Congress should not allow for anything like this to ever occur again to any political campaign if it in fact happened, which is why I'll say again, all they got to do is provide us the documentation. If they didn't do anything like that, provide us the documents so we can verify it.
Well, when you say this is over, what
Yeah. Oh, hold on a second.
do you mean this is over? I mean, we have criminal referrals from the Inspector General.
What I'm saying is it's over. And when I say it's over, meaning that this whole thing is a scam. I mean, that there's real FISA abuse here. If there is real FISA abuse, I just can't imagine if what's in these stories is true. How can any American stand for this?
Amen. I couldn't agree with you more. And the thing is also, this is the swamp. This is the swamp. This is it. This is what the swamp does. You see a political outsider coming in, and he's talking about draining the swamp. Things are going to change. Regulations are going to be rolled back. And they don't like it. These career politicians, these career bureaucrats who move to Washington, D.C. to spend their entire lives telling us how to live ours. That's what the election was about. And now we're finding the lengths that the swamp would go to try to take somebody down. And anybody else, they probably would have succeeded. Not this guy. Not this guy. He's a street fighter, man. He is a street fighter. Here is, let's see here. Oh, here's a little bit from Sean Hannity talking Friday night about this ever-increasing scandal. He had a great show today, by the way. Here it is.
The deep state abuse of power that we have now been uncovering for over a year is even tonight far worse than any of us could have ever imagined.
Worse.
This is Watergate on steroids.
Thank you.
Remember the Nixon scandal? It was about a third-rate burglary. This is
It was nothing. The Watergate scandal was nothing.
Deep state political hit job, now spying on an opposition party campaign, FBI spies during an election, and it gets worse. The deep state isn't even trying to hide it, and what they did, they're now bragging about it. The former Obama Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, is actually saying spying on the Trump campaign was a good thing. Has he ever heard of the Constitution?
The Fourth
We're gonna
Amendment.
Unpack all these stunning new details tonight. Now, it will make you question how this could ever happen in the United States of America. And also tonight, a deep state source smear. This is pretty unreal. Liberal, media, anonymous government sources falsely accusing the president and Republicans and conservatives of actually endangering the life of an FBI informant. You know, the one that was spying for the FBI on the Trump campaign.
Yes.
Do they have a warrant? It's also revealing critical information about who this person really is. And tonight, the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, he is now telling the special counsel, wrap up this corrupt investigation.
And it's about time. And if you had heard this months ago, my dog is barking. If you had heard this months ago, you might not have believed it. But now we're learning more, and we're learning more, and we're learning more. The scope of this is massive. The reach of this is massive. It is stunning. Not a surprise. Not a surprise. During the Obama administration, like I said, we saw the IRS abused. We saw the EPA abused. It's not a surprise. None of us should be surprised. Peter Strzok, former FBI official, had a lot of texts with his concubine. There's an article in the National Review. On the afternoon of August 5th, Peter Strzok and Carter Page engaged in a tense conversation, which involved an imminent meeting with agency people, apparent reference to CIA. Strzok suggested for the new case they should conduct Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning meetings with blank redacted, like we did with MYE mid-year exam. The Clinton probe. I don't know what that is called. Got together in the aftermath at about 4 o'clock, 4:30. Strzok and Page had an exchange. Strzok said, and hi, went well, best we could have expected, other than redacted, whoever that person is, quote, the White House is running this. My answer, well, maybe for you they are. So it sounds like Barack Obama was definitely involved in this whole thing. Involved in this entire operation. And it wouldn't surprise me one little bit. Heads have got to roll. Am I right, Tanina? Heads have got to roll. Jeremy Hansen, how you doing, brother? Welcome to the show. Glad to have you joining me. Nearly 2/3 of Americans think the nation's economy is in good shape. Most of them believe President Trump's policies are at least somewhat responsible for that. More Republicans rate the economy positively than do the Democrats. Well, no kidding. well, no kidding. Oh, one other thing on this FBI spying. Here is Mike Pence talking with Neil Cavuto over the weekend about FBI spying and what it means for the country.
Determine and ensure that there was no surveillance done for political purposes. With the revelations that our campaign may have been the subject of surveillance by the FBI, the president, I think, is grateful that the Department of Justice is going to have the Inspector General look into it and determine and ensure that there was no surveillance done for political purposes.
And they're going to find out it was for political purposes.
Against our campaign. I think it would be very troubling to millions of Americans if that took place, but we're very confident that as the Inspector General has been doing their work, looking at the conduct of the FBI during that period, that by adding their focus to this, that we'll get to the bottom of it, because the American people have a right to know.
They do. And again, we've never seen this kind of corruption, ever. UK Daily Mail, one of my favorite publications, by the way, says that President Trump is alleging, of course, that the Obama administration spied on it, that there was a retired professor working as an informant with the FBI. Also, I've got another story here real quick I want to share. Let me get to I've got the different story open on the UK Daily Mail. You got to become a UK Daily Mail fan. It's just freaking spectacular. It is spectacular. Headlines there. Fired FBI boss James Comey will be savaged by Justice Department watchdog for not moving fast enough to get a warrant for the Hillary Clinton emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop. Or was that lap dance? Not sure. Donald Trump has, and I love this. I love that he's pissed. I love the fact that he is going, you know what? I've been saying this all along, and now I know, and I was right. Hold on one second. I don't know why this is giving me this story. There's another story that I want to share with you. Because Donald Trump summoned several people to the White House today. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, FBI Chief Chris Wray to the White House, demanding a probe into whether the agency FBI planted a mole in his campaign. Okay? This is going to get big. This is going to get ugly. This is the weaponization of a branch of the government that wanted to destroy people. Wanted to destroy people. Michael Flynn. FBI admitted after they interviewed him, they did not feel, and Peter Strzok said he did not believe that Michael Flynn lied. Peter Strzok left the investigation 6 months before Michael Flynn pled guilty to lying to the FBI. And he did it on a Friday. Monday, we find out that Peter Strzok left the investigation after all of these texts with Lisa Page. Had Michael Flynn's attorneys known about that, do you suppose he would have pled guilty? Do you suppose? Michael Flynn has had his life destroyed. Republican National Committee has set another fundraising record. No, wait. I thought we were going to see a blue wave. When I heard that blue wave, I thought that, and I've had people comment to me on social media. Blue wave is what I have in my toilet. Because you get that, the 10,000 flush, 2,000 flushes or whatever the hell it is. DNC recorded its lowest figure in April during a midterm election cycle. The lowest figure since 2006. DNC had expenditures totaling $8.3 million, finished up with $7 million in cash. The party currently owes $5.3 million. DNC had a really bad April. RNC took in $13 million in April, a fundraising record during a midterm election, and spent $12.1 million. The party finished the month with a whopping $43.8 million in its coffers. Well, a couple reasons for this. A, Democrats don't have any money because they're not making their $15 minimum wage yet. You're right, Tanita. They destroyed Michael Flynn's life. They absolutely did. That's absolutely, you're exactly right. Where are you watching, by the way, Tanita? I'd love to hear where you're from. And guys, if you want to share with me where you're watching, I think that'd be wonderful. Will you just share with me? I want to see where you're watching tonight. And also, can I get some love here? Can I get some likes? Can I get some hearts? Can I get some thumbs up? Come on, people. I'm doing a good show. Let's move on to the Santa Fe, Texas school shooting. This punk-ass mother effer who did it apparently was walking around shooting people. Oh, Johnny's in Hillsborough, North Carolina. How you doing, my brother? I can appreciate Carolina barbecue. I can appreciate the mustard. Oh, look at all the love now. You guys are the best. Yeah, baby. Woo! Share it. I really appreciate it. God bless you. I'll just say God bless you. This kid, Trenton Beasley, was a student on Good Morning America, said that he was playing music, making jokes, had slogans and rhymes he kept saying. Every time he'd kill someone, he'd say, another one bites the dust. I'm not going to say his name, 17-year-old punk ass. He is a Greek kid. 10 people killed, 8 students, 13 others wounded. This kid said, I could see him running, gun pointed at the door. As his adrenaline raced, Beasley said he'd wrap wounds for a victim. It wasn't until police rescued him that they realized he'd been shot. This kid, listen to this kid, Trenton Beasley. Has he used the F-bomb? Has he gone after the NRA yet? Has he used the F-bomb has he gone after the NRA yet? Like the Parkland, Florida shootings? Has he done that? Has he was, it sounds like he was in the school, unlike some kids in Parkland who were riding their bikes to school and then decided to play anti-NRA and become political tools for the media. Kid was wrapping wounds for victims and he didn't realize he'd been shot. Another student, Rome Schubert, scaled a 7-foot wall. He fled during the shooting, initially not realizing he'd been shot in the head. His mother wailed and screamed when she found out her son was in the hospital. He's going to be okay. Shot in the head. He wasn't hurt critically. The bullet went through the back of his head and out the side. If the wound were anywhere else, he said the doctors told him he could have been paralyzed or killed. I'm not hearing any F-bombs. I'm not hearing any kids being grabbed by CNN and MSNBC and being used as political tools against the Second Amendment. Former Obama Education Secretary Arnie Duncan. This is the most irresponsible. This doofus is supposed to be some sort of a friggin', whatever. He's supposed to be supposed to be leading the, former Secretary of Education. All right, former Secretary of Education. Here's what he's saying. Listen to this. Is this responsible, kids? Is this responsible? He's proposing that parents keep their kids home from school until gun laws are changed. What an idiot. What an absolutely, just an idiot. He tweeted this surprisingly shockingly stupid proposal on Friday in response to a tweet from one of his former employees. He said, quote, "This is brilliant, tragically necessary. What if no children went to school until gun laws changed to keep them safe? My family is all in. If we can do this at this scale, parents, will you please join us?" What an absolute, just a complete and utter effing moron. Just a complete and utter effing moron. Secretary of Education saying you ought to keep their kids home until his political ambitions are settled. But what's going to be enough? You just ignoramus. Just ignoramus. What? Until what's passed? Until what is passed? Keep your kids home from school? That the Secretary of Education is saying your children should not be educated until some sort of a political line in the sand is crossed. What an absolute douche supreme. Thank you. I don't give the douche supreme very often. He definitely is. Definitely douche supreme. Here's Bernie Sanders talking about the NRA, because again, once again, the NRA is a target, and I wonder if some of that has backfired since the last Parkland school shootings. Going after the NRA, it appears they've raised a whole hell of a lot of money for, the NRA has raised a whole hell of a lot of money. It appears to have backfired, but here's Bernie Sanders talking about the NRA once again.
Are now worried about the things we saw in Texas or in Florida a few months ago.
Have you guys done enough?
Unspeakable.
Have you guys done enough in the Senate?
Of course not. Of course not. But it's like every other issue. The American people are united.
No, they're not actually. You are wrong. They've never been united behind you, and they certainly aren't united behind you with regard to gun control.
Overwhelmingly, gun owners, non-gun owners, on common sense gun safety legislation.
You can't even use the right vernacular. You can't even say gun control, you idiot. You had to change it to make it more palatable, like abortion. You're pro-choice. You're pro-choice. Common sense gun safety legislation. How in the hell can you say no to common sense safety? Because it's a frickin' lie. It's a frickin' lie, you old, professorial, socialistic D-bag.
And background checks. Do away with the gun show.
Then why if they are,
do
how
away
come
with
this
the
stuff doesn't
gun show loophole? There's no gun show loophole, you idiot.
pass?
It's a 3-letter word. It's the NRA, and it's Trump and the Republicans who don't have the guts to stand up to
I am a member of the NRA, you douche.
these people, and that's pretty pathetic. and what you are seeing in general. It's not just the NRA.
God, I'll bet he smells like mothballs.
It's tax reform where you give huge tax breaks to billionaires.
Oh, here we go. Now we're going on this socialistic platform, blah, blah, blah.
Where Republicans want to throw 32 million people off of health care. You got a Congress
I
dominated
thought everybody was going to be insured under Obamacare. Not so much.
by a handful of billionaires and the NRA and other right-wing organizations.
All right.
White wing? Did he say white wing? Mm.
And that is enormously unfair to the children of this country, kids in those high schools, and the American people in general.
Wow, he did a circuitous route around the socialistic policies that he engages. I mean, he went all the way around there. That was a home run. He went around all three bases, and he headed for home on the socialistic agenda. Wow, that was pretty crazy. Karen is an NRA member. Me too, girl. Me too. Bernie Sanders is protected by people with guns. He is. They missed a lot of stuff on social media, by the way. They missed a lot of stuff on social media. He had, for instance, a trench coat with regalia from Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, which means he was a socialist, Bernie. He was a socialist, Bernie, not a Republican NRA member. You old mothball-smelling academic from hell who never had a real job, failed as a construction worker, ran for office. Another image was a shirt with the caption, "Born to Kill" on it. One of the other images was a picture of a handgun and knives on a bed. The caption, "Hi effers." Image was posted to an Instagram account to be believed to be associated with the suspect 3 weeks before the tragedy. I don't know. One student said that the killer was a known target of bullying. Just snapped. Listen, I was a target of bullying too. When I was being bullied, I wanted karate lessons. I wanted to kick their asses. I wouldn't have shot them. We had guns. We had guns in our house. We had shotguns and handguns and all sorts of stuff, but I never dreamed of going killing people because I had a moral compass. I had a moral compass. This kid also said he's been picked on by coaches before for smelling bad and stuff like that. He really doesn't talk to very many people. Keeps to himself. Wears a trench coat every day. It's like 90 degrees out there. I heard that he wore a T-shirt today that said "Born to Kill." And he did. Student further lamented over the alleged bullying and the fact the suspect had few friends. I think it's stupid. The coaches can't talk to students like that and make fun of them because it is absolutely soul destroying to be picked apart by adults like that. And if they did this in front of other kids, I'm not saying there's no excuse. The son of a bitch needs to go to jail for life or whatever. Kid said it's about the coaches. That's their fault, strictly their fault. Not the kid's fault, but their fault. No one has talked to him or tried to be nice to him. Yeah, I know. This happens all the time. When are we going to focus on that? Okay, the father did a very piss-poor job of securing his weapons. Did a really piss-poor job of it. There's generally a profile associated with these. And here we go once again. There's a profile. We all, there were Instagram posts. They telescope. I mean, come on, guys. Think about it. Born to kill. Bullied. We got to start taking this crap seriously, man. I mean, just honestly. We live in a different world. When I was a kid, I never dreamed of going and killing people. I still harbor resentment for a guy named Steve Messerschmidt who picked on me relentlessly. And there were a couple of others. Ultimately, it stopped my sophomore year in high school when I beat the shit out of Mike McKee. I beat the snot out of him. Sorry for the language there. But I beat him up. And it stopped, and I became this popular kid. I became this popular kid. Now you've got the influence and the desensitization of kids with popular culture. It could be on Netflix. It could be on video games and all this stuff. And we have to address that, guys. We have to address the coarsening of the culture. We have a coarse culture. We do. It's a different time. There used to be days when we would see a movie, like whatever, a hyper-violent movie, and we'd be shocked by it. We would be impacted greatly by it. We'd go, oh my God, did I just see that? Now anything goes. Now anything goes. We have to address the coarsening of the culture. We have to address the war on boys and the war on young men. We have to do that. It starts in elementary school, it goes through high school, it goes into college, and in college it goes into overdrive with this war on masculinity, with white privilege and all this other crap that make people and kids feel guilty for just being born. Bullcrap. Just because you're born with a penis doesn't mean you're privileged or have any advantages, and if anything right now, it's a disadvantage. And just because you are born white in this country does not mean that you are privileged. There are more poor white people in this country than there are any other nationality in this, or if you want to call it whatever, nationality. Been to Appalachia lately, been to southern Missouri and Arkansas, Mississippi lately. And then you got the ADD, the ADHD, and all the friggin' meds associated with that, all these psychoactive drugs that are being given to kids just to keep them sat in a desk all damn day, which is unnatural for a young kid to go through. It is. Why do you think they have 3 recesses a day in elementary school, 2:15 and 1:30? Because it's not natural for a kid to sit at a damn desk for 7 hours a day. But if you want them to do that, you want them to focus, you drug the snot out of them. You drug the snot out of them. There's a lot of things going on, guys, and I wish I could distill it, but it's not just guns being around. It's not just guns being around. Pardon me. I'm passionate about this. Because there is a war on boys, and there is war on men in college like you wouldn't believe. There's nothing wrong with being masculine. There's nothing wrong with but being feminine if you're a guy. Who the hell cares? But don't punish the stereotypical males just because they're men and just because they're boys. All right? Okay. Let me mention my T-shirt and swag line right here. I've got about 75 designs here, guys, and I wish you'd consider ordering one of them. They are bright. Some of them are a little more plain, but they're just fun. We got the adorable deplorable with a heart on it. You could get that for your toddler or a baby with a onesie. You could get that for your wife or girlfriend on a tank. Or just a cool shirt. Veganism is an eating disorder. It's one of my favorite ones. You've got the drunk Hillary Clinton with Uranium One making Russia great again. You've got the iconic Che Guevara shirt. And I said, murderous commie douchebag, not a hero. Just go to teepublic.com. teepublic.com. And then search for Conservatees. Conservatees, that's CONSERVATEES, at the end there. And you'll see them, and you could get the stuff put on mugs and mouse pads and phone covers and laptop covers and T-shirts and hoodies, and it's great stuff. I work with a guy named San Cangelosi, and he is absolutely spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. Let's see. I got a couple other things I want to share with you. Just real quick, a couple of things. How about the death of late-night television, how it's not funny anymore? Writer for Seth Meyers, who's just not funny, used 4 minutes of time to rant about the latest episode of Roseanne, pegging the show and the rest of America as racist. Amber Ruffin is her name. This isn't funny. This is a political. If you want to get on a political soapbox, do it somewhere else. All right? Late night television. Johnny Carson is spinning like a baseball bat on a lathe in his grave right now with this idiocy. And this is why this doofus has no ratings. Plus, he's just not funny. He's an annoying little D word for Richard. Here is a little bit of piece from this awful woman, Amber Ruffin, with her commentary about Roseanne. Okay, so it's called Amber's Minute of Fury, by the way, and it was 4 minutes long.
And is back and better than ever at being racist. So in this tired-ass episode, she has Muslim neighbors.
That's funny. In this tired-ass episode.
And she thinks they're terrorists until they give her their Wi-Fi password, and then she decides they're okay and saves them from a different...
You know, get a political talk show, all right? And if you're going to continue to be a comedy writer, write something funny.
Racist person, proving that she is no longer racist. Now, let me tell you one of the bajillion reasons why this episode was poison. That show is poison.
Oh, there you go. See, she's just singing a Boys to Men. Was it a Boys to Men song?
She didn't like these people until they proved
they got somebody there. They've got to have somebody there with a sign saying applause or laughter.
That they were one of the good ones by giving her their Wi-Fi password. So what would have happened in this episode if they had been mean to her, as was their right to do? She'd have called the cops and they'd have gone to jail. That's what the what? And that's what's wrong with this episode. The minorities...
Okay, you know, who gives a rat's ass what you think? Honestly, who gives a rat's ass what you think? This is supposed to be a late night interview and comedy show. And you've got this thrown in the middle. Here's the problem. You know, I worked in music radio for a number of years. You cannot, if you choose what you want to do, you choose your poison. If you're going to do a late night comedy show, you do a late night comedy show. If you want to do a wacky morning radio show with lots of music and celebrity dish, do that. But you don't cross the streams. My show crosses the streams a little bit. I do enter the realm of pop culture. I do, to point out the absurdity of it. But by and large, this show is, a political / pop culture show. Today, we've covered a lot of political stuff. And that's okay. And that's okay. But if you're going to do that show, either you make it political or you don't. You make it political or you don't. You make it an interview show. If you're going to have... Seth Meyers, you don't have cred as a political commentator, and neither does this awful, unfunny woman. Who was that? Hold on. Her name is Amber Ruffin. Amber Ruffin is her name. She's a writer on Seth Meyers' show. And this is the reason why, honestly, nobody watches the show. It is the worst rated. It is uncomfortable. It's not very entertaining. That's just it. Amber Ruffin. All right. I'm going to wrap things up here in a couple of seconds here, guys, because I've got a lot of stuff. I've got a lot of stuff to do. I've got to do some online training to sell cars. It's kind of funny. And I'm going to be doing that. And I'm going to be doing this as well, guys. And I won't, unfortunately, be able to do as much weekly podcasting as I would like to. But you know what? Eventually, I hope to, maybe down the road, do both full time. So anyway, that's what's going on. Last story. Preston Wilson apologized Saturday for a reference he made to slavery during a television broadcast of the Houston Astros game against the Cleveland Indians earlier in the day. Wilson played 10 years in the majors, was working the game for the Astros television affiliate, brought up slavery during a discussion with fellow ex-player Jeff Bagwell. I don't know Preston Wilson. I'm not sure exactly who he is here. Let me just go ahead and just Google Preston Wilson. I want to see if he's a black guy. Because, aren't you supposed to, if you're a black guy, be able to say anything about, slavery or whatever? Can you just make fun of it? Yeah, he's a black guy. Here's what he said. I don't know how you guys feel about this, Blummer and Baggy, whoever they are. But for me, it was the slider. When asked about which pitches were most difficult to get. He said, I can take the fastball, but I actually had somebody ask me if I could go back to history and change one thing. I skipped right over slavery and went to the slider. That's how I feel about it. So he said, and this is funny. All right, it was funny. He said, slavery isn't important. I'm going to go after the slider. It was a joke, my God in heaven. He said to the Houston Chronicle, I realized that was selfish. So then after I thought about it, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should change what I said. But that's how hard it is to hit a slider in the big leagues. He apologized on social media Saturday night. Earlier today, I made a comment that may have offended people. For that, I'm sorry. What I said was inappropriate and not a reflection of the Houston Astros nor AT&T Sportsnet. It was funny. It was. I'd skip right past slavery and go right to the slide. It's funny. Like here's one of the things that I always bring up. I bring up if I could go back in history and kill somebody before the damage could be done. I always say that I would go. I would skip Hitler. If this is offensive, deal with it. I'd go after the guy who invented the popcorn ceiling. Okay, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's meant to exaggerate how much I hate the popcorn ceiling, which I have in my studio. And to single out of all the Genghis Khan, Hitler, Mussolini, Karl Marx, whatever, I'd go after the guy who invented the popcorn ceiling. It's a joke. It's a friggin' joke. My Lord. Can we just go a day without being offended? And isn't it glory to be offended? Isn't it a glory to be able to offend? You know? It's a good thing. All right. Guys, I really appreciate you watching and listening tonight to my show. It means a lot to me. Your continued support would be greatly appreciated. Because, like I said, I don't want to abandon talk radio altogether, and I certainly don't want to abandon video and audio podcasting. So your continued support and sharing is incredibly, incredibly, incredibly important to me. It really, really is. I'm going to sell cars for my family. That's what I'm going to do. Hendrick Toyota, Miriam, if you're the Kansas City area, if you'd come by and talk to me, just ask for Rob Carson. Ask for Rob Carson, or you can just call and ask for Rob Carson, and I'm gonna take care of you. And you know what? If I'm gonna do this for a while, I'm gonna be the best at it that I can be. I'm gonna throw myself completely into it, and it is the first time I've done anything different in my career. It is the first time I've done anything different in my career other than radio. So I'd appreciate your support. Prayers for the kids in Texas. Prayers for the survivors. Prayers for the deceased, prayers for the family and the friends, prayers for those who have to live with the image of watching their friends die. God bless you guys. Have a glorious evening, and I'll see you again soon.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram. I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.